And you are in tune into the sounds of Quest Convo, where we talk the culture because we are the culture. All day, every day, live this shit, eat this shit, breathe this shit, die for this shit. You know, everybody can't say that. I can back it up with anybody, any expert out there, any connoisseur out there. You are watching the Culture 73 Hip Hop Network. Dev Devious in the house. I am Drew SoulQuest, and you're watching Quest Convo, where we talk the culture because we are the culture. So this is our first segment. First segment is going to be about the top 10 hip hop albums of all time. Now, I got my list. Dev got his list. You know what I mean? We might agree on some shit. We may not. Either way, we want to do this as a first segment, pretty much to kind of, you know, let people know what kind of hip hop connoisseurs we are, the kind of shit that we're into. You know, it's all dope. It's all from different waves and everything, but it's shit that really represents the culture. You know what I'm saying? I've been a fan for, man, Dev, what you, if you, so as a hip hop fan, you think how many years you in as a true hip hop fan?
Oh, it's easily 10 plus off of, without even having to think about anything. But that's just off my short lifespan that I done had. So, you know, it's been ongoing, and I don't even think about the time because I'm living in the moment, and I'm always looking for the next piece of material, the next beat, the next bar, anything that satisfy my ears. So it don't matter how long it's been because it's gonna be forever.
Hey, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, man. You got them 10 years in. I'm at 25 plus in here. I done lived through all the eras in this bitch. Hey, I've been a fan since day one. Hip hop has been my first love. Man, it's since way, way back. I'm talking about motherfucking 10 years old, loving this shit, fell in love with this shit since day one. It spoke to me in a special way. It reflected what was going on around me. And it's I can honestly say I don't think it's a day that goes by that I don't fuck with hip hop. And I'm talking about since way back. Good day, bad day, all that. It's going to be a show, obviously, about hip hop culture. We're going to be talking about the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs. But basically giving our commentary on just random different things in hip hop culture, past, present, and future. If you're a true connoisseur of this game, I feel you will be entertained. You will love it. I'm talking about my personal top 10 hip hop albums of all time. Dev's going to go over his. So let's see where it takes us. Now, first of all, this was hard as fuck to do, just to let y'all know. I got my list on my phone right now, and it's probably like 25. You know what I mean? I just had to literally just narrow that shit down to 10. I just had to let myself go, get out of my damn feelings, and just be like, okay, let me figure this shit out. It's 10 of them. So no particular order either. So the first one I got on here, I'm just gonna go with this one just to throw y'all niggas off. A lot of y'all probably ain't even gonna know who this is, but I'm gonna go with the first one is top 10 album of all time, Above the Law, Uncle Sam's Curse. Now, so before I even continue, do you know who Above the Law is?
Yeah, I do. I know exactly what Above the Law is. But see, the problem is that I don't know, whatever issues they got going on with their music, it's like it's very hard to get a hold of. It's not really on platforms like that to stream. The album you talking about is out of fucking print. So it's like it's just hard to them. You, from being back in that time period, you was able to hear it when it was going on. So you had that advantage over me because I haven't really had a chance to get into them like I would probably want to.
Right. No, but I got access to it. I'm gonna let you hear it, but that Above the Law First of all, just to let y'all know about them, West Coast legends, NWA, Eazy-E, they put them on. Since then, they've had hella albums. I'm talking about just always been about that gangster shit. But Uncle Sam's Curse. And another thing too, with these top 10 albums that we're naming, keep in mind the criteria behind this, and we kind of shared that, me and Dev. The criteria behind it pretty much was, first of all, the replay value. You can listen to that shit 10 times, 20 times, however many times, 5 years from now, 5 years ago, and you never get tired of the shit. On top of that, obviously the beats, obviously the flows, and the impact. Some albums have impacted outside of the hip hop culture, and some have like impacted just different parts of history at the end of the day. So pretty much those was the criteria that we kind of based our decisions on. But anyway, Uncle Sam's Curse, From Above the Law, shit is raw as hell the whole way through. They talking about gangster shit. They talking about black life shit. They talking about fuck the government. I'm going to keep it on the West Coast and go on and throw in Dr. Dre the Chronic. Now that's one that's on pretty. I know that's one that's on a lot of people's list. Unlike that Above the Law, Uncle Sam's Curse, I know that Dr. Dre the Chronic is on a lot of people's list, but that changed my life and impacted me for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
The name of the album was The Chronic. That's right when things was going on, a lot of experimentation was taking place, and that was the smokers' anthem. Like, bottom line, that was it was going on in a lot of people's homes. That was the anthem. Down South legends, A-Ball and MJG coming out hard. Now, that album right there, a lot of people are very familiar with A-Ball and MJG. Hip hop is a little bit of a newer genre as far as music goes. I mean, we just write it like 40 years old at this point. Now, I'm the kind of person that when I hear something that I've never heard before, I'm instantly drawn to that artist, because I look at that as a challenge, because it's been so many artists, so many sounds, and it almost ain't nothing that haven't been done before. So when you can dig into your artistry and open your mind and be creative like that and come up with some shit that hasn't been done before, or create a sound that hasn't been heard, to me, that shit, I respect the shit out of you. Like, you a true artist. You know what I'm saying? That does it for me. That will make me fall into the music and see what's up. See, they from Memphis. So it's, Memphis always got that blues and that soul kind of background or whatever. And they kind of had it in the music, but they was talking about some straight street shit and some pimp shit for real, but over some like soulful ass, like before trap music. It's like over some soulful trap music. And that shit had hella knock in it. The Roots, Game Theory. Now, I've always been a fan of the Roots. Once again, Black Thought, one of the most underrated rappers out there, bottom line. I feel with Game Theory, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's when they signed to Def Jam. And
it was.
Yeah.
They signed a Def Jam with that one.
And you could kind of tell in the sound. To me, they kind of opened up a little bit more. Like, it was still that Roots sound, but I don't know. They just threw something else in there that kind of, to me, elevated the sound on that album. It may not even necessarily be my favorite, but it still was one of the best of all time. Like, some of the joints on there was just speaking to me. They opened up. I think Black Thought opened up with his flows, even the musicality of it. It was more of a, I don't know, like a higher skill set, the way they was even doing the music and everything. I fuck with that heavy.
Right.
Then I'm gonna go with Mobb Deep. So Mobb Deep, they album Free Agents. Now that was one of those, it was kind of like a mixtape, but an album at the same time. It's one of their best pieces to this day, but it was one that I guess maybe because it was like a mixtape and an album, I don't know, it just wasn't really I don't know, it wasn't really put out there. I feel like, you know, people talk about Mobb Deep, they always talk about Shook Ones and talk about the first album and all that. To me, this album honestly was just as good. It had a lot of different sounds on there, but they never really just pushed that one. I just always feel like that was one of those albums that didn't get the shine it deserved. But it's one of in my top 10 list, the greatest album of all time. I gotta go on and throw my boy West in there. You know, Kanye been going through a lot of shit the last few years.
Poor Kanye. It's a damn shame too.
It is, man. People be, you know, they be wanting to write them off and all that stuff. And I'm trying to get to the point where, and I know it's hard, especially with rap, because rap is such a personal genre, but I'm trying to get to the point where I really got to get out of these entertainers' lives and just appreciate their damn art and don't worry about what the fuck they think.
Yeah, and I mean, no, seriously. And that's a good point you bring up, because it's like with Kanye, his personal life and everything, and the antics and all the outlandish shit he said all over the years, it overshadows his music, and I don't think that's right. You know, this is one of the greatest. You know, when he says he's a genius, you know, he's not necessarily wrong. You know, and it's a shame because you can't really fully appreciate him because you so worried about what this crazy shit he gonna do, and that's too bad. It really is.
It is, man. I mean, because he is, dude is a genius. I mean, he just it's certain artists in the last, you know, 10 to 20 years, I always say that changed music and changed hip hop. And, you know, it's people like Drake, it's people like Future, you know what I'm saying? Their sound took over the game. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to sound like them. Shit, everybody still sound like them. But like Drake, Future, and you got to put Kanye there. He is just he is a true genius.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't even like. I never heard anything that I didn't like from him until what was the album with Power on it? No, not Power, of course not that one. No, when did he start coming with all the new slave shit? Remember?
Jesus.
Okay, yeah. And a lot of people love that album, but I'm just saying, and I'm not even saying I've changed.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. The album was fucking great. I don't give a damn what you say. The album was great. Fuck that. That was a shit.
Okay. I still can't
stand
agree
on that.
I know.
So everybody, to you and everybody who listening on this, Yeezus was a great album. Yeezus will go down as a top 3 Kanye album. I don't care. I don't care. Listen, I don't care. That album was.
Oh my God.
Because what he did with that album is what makes him a genius. He took unconventional sounds. He took everything that you thought he couldn't make work, and he made it work. I don't think, I feel like it'll be viewed differently. It's like it happens all the time. Movies come out, shows come out, all kinds of things come out, and they're not appreciated. And in 25 years, they won't look back and say, "Oh, this is the greatest fucking thing we've ever seen, heard, whatever." And Yeezus will be one of them. And that's okay.
See, I'm definitely don't feel like that. But at first, I couldn't stand it. And then I had to really get into it. And exactly what you're saying, I appreciated it because I was like, damn, yeah, this is some different shit, but it's put together. So I changed my opinion of Yeezus.
Definitely.
Yeah, but late registration, man, that shit I could put that shit on right now, and it's just a wonderful piece of work. It's just it make you it make me feel good. It make me feel black. It make me appreciate hip hop more. It feel good, like it just feels good. Like it make me want to think about my grandmother and shit. It's
Right.
just
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it's just yeah, it's Jay. I mean, he just yeah, his production, them first few albums was just like I know he he opened up and branched out with the sound and production. And at the end of the day, I can't be mad at that because that's what every good artist is supposed to do. You're supposed to evolve, you're supposed to do different things or whatever. But just that's why it's so hard to let go of him, like all the the shit he's quote unquote said against black people, because his sound and his words, and I know some people may not even get what I'm saying, but even outside of his words, the first few albums and the first few projects, his words and his sounds was like just black to me. Like it was so black and soulful and hip hop mixed together. It wasn't no experimental shit that might be, kind of rocked out or quote unquote white people shit. It was just his sound and his words was black. Like just yeah, like
And I,
you know what I mean? Like you could
yeah.
see him, yeah, like black, like a nigga in the basement on his little drum machine doing some shit, smoking a blunt, and just yeah,
See,
coming up with some
it's
shit.
that's great. Yes. But that's the gift and the curse with that particular with what we call old Kanye. Um, See, right there, what you just described is a part of the reason why the more recent material from him isn't, seen in a good light from certain people, particularly, black folks that have kind of like that same mindset that you just shared. It's like it makes it because, it is, it was so undeniable how for us and how with us he sounded and was, and just the things that he did and how he went about things versus now. But it's like, you gotta you gotta separate the artist, from the entertainment, all that tabloid, you gotta separate that from the artistry and let that be a thing.
Yes, yes. I gotta definitely work on that. But that's what I'm on because and it's just because we're just so exposed and social media and all this other shit. We know everything about everybody as soon as it happens versus back in the day, we don't know, until they come out with movies or they have come out with movies. But at the time, people didn't know what the fuck was going on with Gladys Knight, Marvin Gaye, and James Brown. They could have been fucking and smoking and robbing, doing all kind of bullshit, doing drugs, fucking
Slapping niggas, all
yeah,
kinds of
doing
stuff.
all kind of shit. Got all kind of guns and shit. We didn't know what the fuck they had going on, cause it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like that. All we knew is the motherfucking album. We go buy the album and put that shit on, and it take us away. We don't know what the fuck they was doing. Keep it down south again. I'm gonna go with Mr. Scarface with the Ghetto Boys. Till Death Do Us Part. So that album, that's when let me see. So that's the first Ghetto Boys album. When Willie D, he kind of that's when he first left. If you know about the history of the Ghetto Boys, Scarface, Bushwick, Willie
He
D.
left more than once.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the first
I never
album.
knew that.
Yeah, that was the first album he when he left. That's when he first left, 1993. That's when Till Death Do Us Part.
Okay.
And Big Mike, he replaced him. Big Mike, dude from Louisiana or whatever. Um, and don't get it twisted. Like, yeah, I fuck with the Ghetto Boys. I love Willie D just for what he has done, what he represents. Oh, but Big Mike was definitely a better rapper
Upgrade.
than Willie D. Big Mike had flow. talking about some gangster shit, some real shit, some life shit. But that album, one of my favorite Ghetto Boy albums. I'm talking about, once again, replay value. You can let the whole motherfucker play all the way through. Everybody just spitting. Like they almost was on some shit like, we got some shit to prove. Like, yeah, nigga, we don't need you. We still got this.
We still got it.
Yeah, like could be my number one of all time. Now, this one is Pete Rock and CL Smooth, the main ingredient. So before I even go into it, just to let everybody know, if you know who Ninth Wonder is, super producer, true hip hop head, true hip hop historian. If you know who Ninth Wonder is, this is his favorite hip hop album. He's personally actually told me, and I've heard him say it in other little settings or interviews and shit that he's been in. So, P Rock and CL Smooth, the main ingredient. This is, to me, so say if it's motherfucking 500 years from now, okay?
Okay.
We all fucked up in ruins somewhere, and motherfuckers figure out what hip hop is again. Say for whatever reason it died out, and they needed to figure out what was hip hop. What was it? Did they need to put this motherfucking project on, and this is going to explain to them what hip hop really is. That the sound, the flows, it is the perfect hip hop album. And I'm talking about when you're just basing it on the foundation and the principles, and yeah, basically the foundation and the principles and the true sound of what hip hop, how hip hop started and what it's supposed to represent and all the criteria that comes with it. This is the perfect hip hop album. I'm talking about just the sounds, the samples, the beats, the drums. Like, you know how you can say some hip hop is, they mix in R&B with it, or it's a trap sound, or it's a this and it's that, that. No, this was just all hip hop. They didn't mix it in with shit else but little scratches and samples and shit like that. But the sound, it is just perfection. Keep in mind, CL Smooth, and I'm only pointing this out because, and I don't knock nobody. Shit, I cuss like a motherfucker too. Most rappers curse, it ain't no thing. But I'm just saying, for example, CL Smooth cussed literally a handful of times, and it was always just a small little cuss word or something. But this dude had crazy flows, one of the best rappers to ever do it, and just was never vulgar, never cuss, none of that shit. I'm talking about just true creativity. And then you got Pete Rock on the beats. Pete Rock is one of the best motherfuckers to ever do it. He's still doing it to this day, hip hop to the death with it. But yeah, that's I throw it back and forth with a lot of other albums or whatever. I don't know if it's my number one, but I love that album. Like, I never get tired of it. I got to throw my guy Redman in there. Redman overall, Redman, even outside of creating one of my favorite top 10 albums of all times, he's definitely gonna be in my top 5 or top 10 of favorite MCs as well. You definitely familiar with Redman.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
yeah.
I mean, even if you, even just not a rapping, if you a nigga, you know who Redman is. If you haven't heard his music, I guarantee you, half of the kids in my generation, they know him more for How High than any album he ever did.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
definite legend in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's true legend in the game, still doing it. But yeah, Dare is a dark side. I'm gonna go with that one. If y'all don't know that's y'all could Google that shit. Y'all gonna see a all red cover with a nigga buried in the ground
Up
with
to
his
his
just
neck.
head on the surface. Redman always been a wild boy. very creative, very crazy, very lyrical, very weed driven. But
Was
yeah,
that the third? Was that the third or the fourth album?
that was first was
It was
what
the
the
third, wasn't it?
album. Yeah, that was the
No,
third. That you know what? Honestly, shit, if I'm
it
not
was what? It
mistaken,
was
it
what?
might have
Then
been the second. The first was what the album. Shit, it might be the
was
second.
right? Was it? Well, no, you're right because Muddy Waters was the third album.
Right.
Muddy Waters, and then what? No, Muddy Waters was Doc's the name. The fourth one, or was it Malpractice?
Oh, it was Doc's the name. Malpractice
Okay,
came
that's the
after
name too.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was the second one. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
it was. Yep. You know, you don't really see the rap groups no more. You know what I mean? Rap
Mm-hmm.
groups is kind of like a thing of the past. I mean, outside the Migos and
They come every now and again now.
yeah. But, back in the day, the rap groups, they used to be a thing. You know what I'm saying? When I think of the best rap groups of all time, I think of, obviously Wu-Tang, Public Enemy, EPMD, shit like that. But Slum Village, once again, as being on my list, as with as a top 10 album, Slum Village is on my list as one of the top 10 albums of all time with their album Trinity. Now, Slum Village, man, first of all, they Detroit all day, Conant guarded projects. So Slum Village, one of the top 10 greatest albums of all time by them is called Trinity. That album is legendary. It is one of the most original hip hop albums you will ever hear. Some shit like, even if you don't even like it, you can't admit that shit is not original and eclectic and different. You cannot say that them niggas ain't spitting just fucking acrobatical ass bars that are just entertaining than a motherfucker and just fucking your mind as you listen to them, just clever as fuck, on some black space hip hop. I can't even describe that shit. That was one of the last few projects, because Slum Village, you had T3, you had Elzai at that time. He had joined in. And then also you can't forget Jay Dilla, the legendary rest his soul. Obviously he was part of the group, a huge part of the group. Jay Dilla is responsible for creating their sound pretty much. These are guys that he clicked with, that whole little Detroit, with Fat Cat, all these different people, man, Royce, Detroit, Detroit is kind of like, and I ain't gonna say now Detroit, but earlier Detroit around that time, to me, they were kind of like on some Midwest / East Coast type shit. You know what I mean? Because, like, for example, Jay Dilla, he rapped. He was actually one of the better producers on the mic. I mean, he honestly had flows. But he would rap about some straight grimy shit over some old eclectic basement hip hop ass beat. This nigga, he had Jay Dilla had a song called "Fuck the Police," and self-explanatory. That was just what the song was about, talking about fuck the police over some old extra boom bap, grimy ass, basement ass, jungle type music, nigga. But the song was ghetto and hard than a motherfucker. So they was always on some different shit. So yeah, Slum Village, Trinity. If y'all get a chance, get your ears on that. I promise you, it's a treat. That shit aged super well. So Dev, yeah, you up, bro. Get your perspective. See what you talking about with your top 10.
When I did my top 10, I realized, you know, it's almost like when you do your top 10 now, it's almost like people they can name it for you. You know, it's like it's just real standards, real uniform. So I didn't really want to go that route. I kind of wanted to be kind of conventional, you know, because some stuff that's kind of undeniable. You kind of got to pay homage to it, but I still wanted to throw my own personal opinion, what I think, you know, those might be. So, um,
Okay.
but I'm gonna start off. Number one is the Big Bang from Busta Rhymes, 2006.
Mm.
That was actually I believe one of thank you. I believe
Hell
that is
yeah.
one of I believe that's his best album, period. Um, and I'll just leave it at that. I just believe that that's his best body of work, you know, as a whole he's ever produced. Second, to Pimp a Butterfly. Um,
Mm.
that you know, that's just another good one
Um,
for sure.
and then with your To Pimp a Butterfly, that's another one. I'm embarrassed to even admit like I was late to that shit as far as
I was.
its greatness. But just to throw a little comment in real quick. Blacker the Berry, that song, every time I hear it, it make me want to beat up white people. Like I want that
It
on
really
as
do.
a
I'll be glad
soundtrack
you
if
did.
I gotta beat some white people up.
Yeah, for sure. No, that whole album too, that was just something where I couldn't listen to it all the way through when it first came out. It was kind of like I had to like section it off and kind of like, it was too much because I didn't even know what was going on. And then when I slowed it down and actually had a chance to dissect it and go through it, I was like, this is this is pretty big.
Yes, that shit is true art.
Yeah, I was like, dude, and I didn't know because I was late. But I'm thinking like, does anybody know what's fuck's going on here? Does anybody see this? Is
Right. You
not knowing it's murder and shit on the outside of outside my walls and shit. It's killing the world. But in my head, I'm just like, so why is nobody talking about this?
you
You know.
said that nigga Kendrick, he channeled motherfucking Miles Davis and did that album.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And Malcolm X came to that nigga in a dream or something.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Yes.
This is fucking great.
And honestly, it was one of those albums. Like, yeah, now I mean that nigga done won Pulitzer prizes. He done won all kind of fucking accolades off that
This
particular
nigga's a
album.
rapper and getting book awards.
Yes, that's how great so much the writing was so fucking powerful. But I do remember when it first came out, it took time. It took time for that album to build up to its greatness. Because when it first came out, we coming off a different kind of Kendrick. Because I remember a whole bunch of niggas was like, "Oh, that shit's trash. What the fuck is Kendrick doing? This is because his sound was 1,000% different compared to the album before that.
Yeah,
The sound was completely different, and some motherfuckers didn't even want to try to open up their mind at all. I distinctly remember mad niggas was like, "Oh, that shit's trash. That shit's what the fuck is he on?" And now that shit
yeah.
is a classic.
I missed that part because
Yes, I remember that shit.
I was in school at the time, so I was surrounded by more people, and I didn't really the opinion that was not the opinion
Mm.
online or in real life. Like everybody was looking like this is great. This is some life changing type shit. Listen here, like they had one where I remember this is back when memes was like new coming on,
Mm.
but this would probably be funny as hell today. But they had it where it was memes like before listening to Pimp a Butterfly. It had the gangster hood nigga with his draws out with a gun and the 40 on the block, with a blunt and everything. And then it said after to Pimp a Butterfly, and this nigga straight looked like the fruit of Islam and shit.
Right, right.
With the slick to the side part, with the suit on and everything. And I'm like, I'm like, just for listening to this one album, I'm like, that's what it can do. It's like if it can take a nigga off of the block and make him feel like, hey, I need to clean my act up and get my life together. It's a good fucking album, man.
Right.
It's shit like that that makes me think like this nigga, this nigga J. Cole cannot see Kendrick, bro. Like, I'm fucking sorry. He just, I'm not that. I don't doubt that he ain't good. I don't doubt. I'm never gonna say J. Cole sucks because I don't believe that he does. It's just that he's not Kendrick. And when niggas try to say like they try to make it seem like it's not that big of a gap between the two, or they're relatively equal, or J. Cole is just objectively better. And I'm just like, what the fuck what are you listening to? What are you listening to? And I'm not even trying to say it like, I'm the authority, but it's just, dude, no. Like, To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn, I've never heard anything like them. Just the way they brought up emotion in me. It's rare that music brings up, actual genuine emotion in me. And Kendrick was able to do that twice with 2 albums. It's one of them things you can't explain. It's like you just can just see it. You can just see it. You don't have to explain it. It's like if you listen to whatever the fuck album J. Cole came with the same time they came out, so his second album versus Kendrick's second album, and I don't believe that there are many people who are going to listen to both albums, but I think J. Cole is better. Unless you just genuinely just like J. Cole better, period, as an artist.
No.
I take an unbiased approach. I just don't think that. That's just
no,
me.
I 1000% feel you. And this is, I guess I can say that I'm a J. Cole fan, but I do feel you because I remember we had a conversation some years back about J. Cole, and I still remember that's when you kind of gave me a different perspective on him, because you literally said, you was like, that nigga is just boring. Like, he's not bad.
Yeah.
But his shit is just boring. Like his and that kind of stuck with me. And I could, even though I like J. Cole and I fuck with him, I could see and understand your perspective. And definitely Kendrick, J. Cole can definitely not fuck with Kendrick. Kendrick is just lyrically, can't nobody really fuck with him. You know what I'm saying? And if so, it's a small list on like one hand. Kendrick is just so entertaining. He's so clever. He's so outside the box. I can kind of understand it because we know kind of like the scope of rap now. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of shit I fuck with. It's a lot of shit you fuck with and like
right.
listen to, and the slap and everything. But we know the scope of hip hop. It is what it is. It's small right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's why people like to compare them and put them together, because when you really think about it, those are the only 2 niggas that are really doing some hip hop, bridging the gap between old and young,
right?
Still kind of doing creative, innovative kind of music. They kind of in the same vein when it comes to that. I think that's why people like to kind of box them in together like that or try to compare them. But lyrically, hell no. Hell no. Because
I just think anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that you can legitimately give Kendrick, Kendrick Cole, is that he produces and makes his own beats. Some of which are very good. So he has that going for him. But just, I think, conceptual wise, just concepts. I think the KOD is like the first time that he really tried to do a full kind of concept album or whatever. And it's like Kendrick been doing that. He's and mastered it. Not really trying to do it. So I just think Kendrick is he's just the one. I don't know. It's just like he is the one who, all that other shit, that he's the exception to all the bullshit rules that go on today. You got to be a nigga. You got to do this and you got to do that. You got to make a fool out of yourself. You got to be shooting and killing and robbing and dope slinging and all. He's the exception. All that. I mean, Cole is too, obviously, but it's like to the point where he's able to do world tours and do $1 billion tours and all kind of shit like that, and you know, be one of the biggest artists in the world up there with Drake, and still, like you said, being able to deliver the type of content and the type of damn it, I don't even know how to. I need a damn professor to eloquate this shit. Because it's like the regular words to try and big this shit up don't really do it justice. Like,
Yeah.
it don't do it enough justice to just say, oh, you know, Damn was a really good album. Like, I need a damn English professor to, like, you know what I'm saying, enunciate that shit. Number 3 definitely is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye, 2010.
One hand in the air if you don't really care.
Yeah.
Boy, when I first heard that shit.
Yeah. I mean,
ooh.
and see, this is just another genius, another testament, I should say, to Kanye's genius. Because this is the third or fourth time I've switched out. This spot was always gonna go to a Kanye album. It's just that I changed it 3 or 4 times fucking with Kanye because
Right.
you know the nigga. We don't even have to talk about that.
Right.
But moving on, B from Common. I'm just gonna leave that there. I don't have to. Number 5 is I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna take it kind of for all the older guys, and this is gonna be, you know, taking it to my side of the spectrum. But Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent. This, back when I was growing up, what was I in the 6th grade? This was big.
Yes.
And this was also around the time I was starting to get into girls. So as me starting to get into girls, you know, I started to notice what they was listening to. And they was listening to shit like this. And, you know, all the other stuff that started coming out, your Jeezys and your, you know, we started, and that's kind of basically the birth of going into the Soulja Boy era and D4L and Laffy. We're not going to talk about that. We just going to, all them years in hip hop, we just going to leave them blank and nothing outside of, you know, like B and stuff like that. Kanye, all right, we're just going to, none of the other stuff happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
But real quick, it's funny you say that. D4L, they another one. They changed the game because all them niggas sound like them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, all them niggas doing that shit now.
Yeah, for sure. They yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That was, you know, if you are gonna start rapping, I guess the first ideas of the shit come when you in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade anyway. So that's what was out. So that's what was influencing us. But see, Get Rich or Die Trying, man. I don't know. You know, I think 50 kind of, at that point in time, he kind of brought back the thug. He brought the thug image back, but on steroids. Because, and then just the shit was just, the story I remember hearing about, it was like, bro, you hear about this nigga? He a new rapper, and this nigga, he big as fuck, but he got shot, but he, you know, I was like, and I'm just thinking, I'm in the 7th grade, nigga got shot 9 times. What? I'm like, I just start hearing it, and I'm like, this is pretty good. I like this. The In the Club came out, and then when I actually had the album, I remember, funny story, I remember you gave it to me because you had it on bootleg, and I was like, please, I begged you for it. I was like, please, let me have it, because I knew I couldn't get it no other way. So I was like, let me just have it, and you gave it to me, and I listened to it, and it's like, there's something there. It's like, you could really feel his hunger. You could really feel that, you know, Yeah, he was talking about ignorant shit. He was really he was, doing ignorant nigga shit and all that other stuff, the stereotypical whatever. But you could tell that there was stuff in there where he showed a side to himself that that a lot of people don't talk about for those type of people.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to humanize himself in the midst of, all this murder and mayhem and jewelry and other stuff. He ain't just as invincible uh drug lord, whoever you want to call it. And just like you said, so we want to go off of replayability. It's too many songs that I can name that you can just go back and forth. Beats. I mean, it was produced mostly by Dr. Dre. Do we really need to talk about the beats? And back then, 50 had bars on that album. So, it was just one of the best albums. When I started kind of getting into that darker side of hip hop / kind of raunchy / shoot 'em and kill 'em kind of gangster hip hop. As opposed to like the earlier, Tupac or Biggie stuff like that. That was kind of like my first real introduction to that, and that was a hell of an introduction. I can tell you that. But then moving on, number 6, it's definitely gonna be a classic that everybody should know. It's gonna be "Ready to Die" by Biggie. And it's funny because when I first listened to "Ready to Die," I did a lot of research on it first. So I read on it a lot, Wikipedia, stuff like that, because prior to me listening to it, I'd only heard literally Big Papa and Juicy. Like that was literally the only Biggie I'd ever heard outside of Hypnotized. I don't know how that was possible. Don't ask me how that works, but that's but yeah, I listened to it, and I think when I listened to "Ready to Die," that was the first time I had listened to quote unquote a classic album, as deemed by critics and audiences. And as I was listening to it, I can understand why it was considered a classic album.
Mm.
I can just hearing it and listening to it and digesting it and taking it in, and then comparing it to other things that I've heard up to that point, which was quite a few things. It was just like, this is so unlike. I've never heard anybody rap like this. I've never heard them put the words the way, together the way that they did. The beats were amazing. Like, I mean, you just put it on and let it ride. It's probably one song on there that I wouldn't really get down with. But outside of that, and even then, I can make an exception for it because I don't want to mess the whole album up. So it's like I just let it play regardless. But yeah, it was one of those ones where I was like, okay, I see why this album is held in such high regard that it is. I want to do "Reasonable Doubt." Out the Black Album. I don't care about the Blueprint. I don't care about any of the volumes. I don't care because they're not Reasonable Doubt. They just aren't, man. It's I'm being so serious. Like, I don't know. It's just like Reasonable Doubt. I want more of that. That I'm not gonna, that I never was going to get, nor am I ever going to get. That's kind of like what pissed me off. Going into Reasonable Doubt and then you hearing it, because I heard all the other Jay-Z before Reasonable Doubt. That's the crazy part. I didn't even know fucking.
Right. Oh.
I didn't even know Reasonable Doubt existed.
Oh.
So it's like I heard, all the Big Pimpin' and the Can I Get a What and Hard Knock Life. I heard all that. I Just Want to Love You, all that before I heard Reasonable Doubt. and then like I said, I met you, and then you started putting me on game, and then you showed me this, and I'm like, what the hell is this? What is
That's
this?
it.
And
That's
I'm like, you like, oh, that's that. You like, that's whatever it is. And I was like, reasonable doubt. And I'm like, wait, his first album. I'm like, there's nobody talking about this. No, and I was serious. I was like, why does nobody talk about? I didn't even know this existed. Why is nobody talking about this? Like nobody talks about it. I mean, now they do. Now, which that's gonna be a whole nother separate episode because I don't know what the hell happened with that shit. Look, so when I was a kid, right, when you used to burn CDs for me and shit, when I would come back home and everything, and I would just listen to stuff and everything like that, I would be listening to that, and then kids is assholes, and they'd be fucking with me and what you listening to, and I'd be playing, Tupac or whoever, whatever, and they'd be like, why are you listening to that old stuff and this, blah 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 blah. Now all of a sudden, here we are, 10, 15 years later, we grown as hell. Everybody just know what real hip hop is. Everybody was, I was always bumping Outkast. I was always this and that. I'm like, well, who the fuck was y'all? Who was that was shitting on me for listening to this same shit years ago? Not just when I got to even when I was in high school. All of a sudden, suddenly when I got to college, all of a sudden everybody was damn hip hop heads and just knew about all these albums and knew about Outkast and they knew about Tribe Called Quest and knew about all these people. And I was like, but that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, it's a lot of reason for that. Like for one, I think just some of the music necessarily just couldn't relate to some younger people at that time. They couldn't really appreciate it until they got older and they kind of felt it more. And then second of all, it's kind of been a topic lately. Different people been talking about it. I know I hear like Joe Budden talk about the shit all the time, but shit like when it comes to hip hop, that we have to change that narrative within our genre because, and I think we've even had that conversation before where when it come to white folks, motherfucking Rolling Stones and all these different groups like that, Sting and all that motherfuckers is 80 years old, been around forever, and everybody still appreciates their music within their race. You have young people, you have middle-aged people, you have older people that all fuck with their music, go to shows, still support them or whatever. But in rap, it's like, now I will say that narrative is starting to change a little bit because of the independent vein of hip hop right now, where you don't have to go through the label. You can just do your own thing. When I say that, just real quick, throwing out motherfuckers like even like Pusha T and Griselda and all them niggas got their own fan base, their own niche. Yeah, some 19-year-old motherfuckers may not feel they shit, but they have their own niche and they making hella money doing their thing. And these are like older niggas, like Griselda and all them niggas, they 35, 40. Pusha T is over 40, you know what I mean?
Right.
But they still got they niche. Same with like Rick Ross. They got their fan base, so they can still make a living and make money in it. So the narrative is a little bit starting to change, but it's still so prevalent where, yeah, y'all, some people just be totally closed-minded, and artists get a certain age, and even though some do fall off, keep it real, they may fall off and make some bullshit music, but a lot of people still are making quality music, and motherfuckers won't even give them a chance. They just, oh, I ain't listening to that old shit. I'm just, don't even give them a chance. Don't even try to fuck with it. And it's like, this is still our culture. It's still hip hop. It's still black people. It's still one of the biggest sources of money and economy that black people have ever seen. It's still feeding families and taking care of people and changing lives and all that shit. So why you gonna knock these other black men with your young black ass to get so that they still can get money in this game? You know what I'm saying? You getting your money over here, Don't worry about if they old ass getting their money. You don't have to necessarily knock it. We all black in the hip hop culture still trying to get this money for as long as we can get it. So
Right. For
yeah.
sure. For sure. Moving on to number 8 is going to be Me Against the World, Tupac, 95.
Mm. That's a good one. I give you that.
Because that was a hard one because, you know, Machiavelli and All Eyes on Me are all worthy. But, you know, if I could give you one album that basically encapsulated everything that there is about Tupac and to, you know, to demonstrate to you what is the word? Let me start over. So if I could come up with a album to, you know, help you understand Tupac or to help understand his walking contradiction personality or whatever it is you want to call it, it would be Me Against the World. Just the wide spectrum of emotions that you see, from anger to hopelessness to sadness to joy, is something that I haven't seen ever. You know, he had a way of putting it together in a way where you could feel it and nothing felt out of place. Nothing felt like it should have been moved or it should have been. Everything was kind of just put there kind of just right. And everything had its place. And just some of the stuff that you saw on there, you would never be able to see a rapper do again. So
100%. Shit. Me Against the World, that was at that time that had some of the most unique production on there, first of all. So I mean, some of those beats, nobody was doing no beats like that. Just So Many Tears. You think about that beat. Wasn't nobody doing no damn beat like that.
And it's like the beats, they kind of like their own thing in and of themselves. I'm glad you said that because that was kind of like my next thing is like, yeah, the beats, you know, like what's another one? Like Heavy in the Game.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of one of those ones that I kind of missed as a younger guy, but as I got older and kept listening to the album more and more, that was one of the ones I was like, this another one.
Yeah, Lord Knows. Remember that shit?
Yeah, Lord Knows. Dear Mama.
Yeah.
You got Old School.
Yeah, that shit was different.
If I Die Tonight, Death Around the Corner. It's so,
man,
make me feel some kind of way. This shit is great.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just and this is kind of what I was saying to Get Rich or Die Trying, but on an actual, it means something level, you know, to the point where it's like, yeah, Get Rich or Die Trying, it was, you know, big, and it was kind of like, you know, my first kind of entrance into getting into, you know, hood music, whatever the fuck you want to call that. But this album was you seeing a human being and he's being vulnerable, and you know, you kind of feel for this person. You can empathize with him. You can kind of put yourself in his shoes and see, like, okay, well, shit, if I was in that situation, what the hell would I do? For me growing up, Tupac was a hero of mine, even though he had been dead gone long, you know, by the time I got of age. You know, I learned a lot from him, and a lot of his music helped me get through a lot of hard times in my life that I've had to deal with, you know, growing up in many different areas in my life. Yeah. But number 9 is going to be the Carter 2. It is the best Lil Wayne album, best Lil Wayne mixtape, best Lil Wayne body of work that you get from Wayne. I've never seen or heard Wayne as focused, as locked in, as hungry as he was with this fucking album. This shit was the thing that it okay. This was the album that made me go from this nigga is fucking stupid to he might be right when it comes to that best rapper alive shit.
Mm-hmm. He
When
was
he first started it, because when he first started it, I was like,
like, nigga, no, you ain't.
right.
Yeah.
I was just like, throw that shit out. I don't hear that shit. And then he was like, oh y'all think I'm fucking playing. That's pretty much, looking back, that's kind of how that whole he like, oh y'all think I'm playing? I'm not. I'm serious. And then started doing shit, but it's like, yeah, the mixtape shit, the Carter 2 is like that was he could have if he could have did at least two more albums with I guess the kind of like the Carter 2 approach, because it was mainstream. That was the thing. So it could sell. It crossed over and had hits and all that other shit on there. If he could have did another 2 or 3 albums like that, he could definitely be up there, like solidified, just straight up, like at least for the more modern post 2000 forward, going forward,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best rappers ever. I believe that, but it didn't. I don't. It didn't go down that way. But for a brief moment, I really saw Wayne as a top 3, top 4 rapper in the game time period when this album came out.
Yeah.
So, and that's just me, and that might be the youngness of me coming out. But again, I stand on that. My last 10th album is going to be. I changed it up a couple times because I wasn't sure what I was so scared of leaving people out. But somebody got to get left out because everybody can't get in. But my 10th album would definitely be Stankonia.
Mm.
It would be Stankonia from Outkast. Um, yeah, it's just flat out my favorite Outkast project from them. Out of a great assortment uh, of albums, but I just think they just kind of they did something with that album. It's just it's kind of like it was kind of like their peak almost, and it's like it's kind of hard to say that when you know what they did next with Speaker Box and them like that, but it's just the staying power of that album and what they did with it is undeniable, and it's been felt in the game literally since day one that album has come out. It's like, it's always, and I think going forward, it will continue to be one of the most influential Outkast projects out of any of them.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Stankonia is that shit. I'll say Stankonia, it set the stage for Speaker Box Love Below. You know what I mean? They were
Right.
kind of priming up their audience to really go all the way left to a completely different sound.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely fuck with that album. But personally, my favorite, man, it's a hard one with Outkast, but I'm gonna say Aquemini is my favorite Outkast album. That
Can't
shit,
go with that. You can't go wrong with that either.
oh my God, that shit was just, man.
Definitely can't go wrong with that one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
those are my 10. I had a lot of trouble making it just because I was just like, what does something deserve to be on there? What doesn't deserve to be recognized, for stuff like that, all kind of stuff. So, but I'm proud of it. I like it. And who knows what it'll be. I'm 29 now, so who knows what it'll be when I'm 39.
Exactly. No, I fuck with your list. You know what I'm saying? Even with us, with the age difference and everything, you have, quality ears. I know I'm a bit responsible for that. but you do have quality ears. You know the foundations and the criteria and how shit is supposed to sound to be kind of solidified quality hip hop. You know what I mean?
Right.
So no, I fuck with your list. And what
I
you said
appreciate it.
with the years and all that stuff, yeah, that definitely makes a difference. You know, if somebody has been listening to hip hop since the fucking 90s, I've heard so much fucking music.
Yeah.
I got so many artists, so many songs to pull from. You know what I mean?
Versus me got to catch up or some shit like that.
Yeah, so it's definitely
All
hard
that.
to make these lists because yeah, you got to pick 10 choices out of a fucking 100,000, you know what I mean? So it's it's hard, but no, I think both our lists was pretty good. You know, I just wanted something to, you know, start off something simple for the people to,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of see the kind of shit we fuck with, where our head is,
Okay.
you know, kind of see you know, the kind of hip hop that we endorse, the kind of hip hop that we feel is classic shit, you know,
Right.
just to kind of establish us, you know, as the connoisseurs that we are, you know. So
Right.
y'all stay tuned, y'all stay connected. Make sure, like I said, you check out culture73.com. That is the Culture 73 Hip Hop Network. Y'all get familiar, hella original content coming. Also, make sure you share, like, and subscribe the Culture 73 YouTube. It's just Culture 73, Culture 73 TV. So once again, it's been my man Dev Devious. I am Drew SoulQuest. You have been tuned in to Quest Convo, where we talk the culture because we are the culture. We out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I just want to tell everybody, just be sure, keep your eyes on us, stick with us. We got a lot of big things coming. We got a lot of things that we're working on, and we want you all to be a part of it from the beginning all the way to the mountaintop. So make sure you stay with us.